Okay, in this tutorial, we're going to talk about keyframes. This is the basis for video editing with pictures, with videos, with anything. The keyframes is key. No pun intended. So I'm just in the same project that I made in the last tutorial called text. Okay, and let's talk about keyframes. So to do that, we're going to need a picture. Okay, and we're going to follow what we're supposed to be following, right? So if you go into Unit 1, Student Projects, Demo Video, okay, I made myself a folder here. And I didn't make all my folders like I was supposed to. I'm going to make all my folders now. So I'm going to have a footage folder. And I'm going to have an audio folder. And renders, exports, and After Effects. Okay. And I'm going to find a picture that I like. Okay, I'm just going to pull from I'm just going to pull a picture. Okay, so let's just take let's take this. Okay, I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it into my footage. Okay, here's my picture. Now, remember, you want to make sure to bring your picture in from your own personal footage folder. I'm going to bring it into my project and I'm going to bring it onto my timeline. And here's my picture of my bed. Now, what we previously discussed is make sure your effect controls is activated. Make sure by going to Window, make sure it's checked off. What we previously discussed is using scale and position to adjust your picture to fit the size that you want it to be. Maybe you want it to be super zoomed up on the pillow and the blanket. You can also adjust the position, right, up, down, and right to left. Now, what happens if you want a slow zoom in on your picture or on your video or on your text or on anything that you are going to be using throughout the year? That's what keyframes are for. What keyframes do is they take from the beginning, from a piece of time, you designate, okay, this piece of time to that piece of time, some change is going to happen. Okay, so the first thing you want to make sure is you are selected on the image you want to adjust. So if you see here, now I'm not selected on any image. If I click on my bedroom image, I'm selected on it. You'll see a white border around what you're selected on. Second thing you want to make sure of, your playhead, this blue guy over here, is hovering over your picture. And we'll explain why as we go along. So you want to make sure first you're selected on the correct image, and second, that your playhead is hovering over that same image. Now, to use keyframes, you move your playhead to the piece of time in which you want the change to start. So let's say I want my zoom to start a little bit in, okay? Maybe like there. Once you're at that spot, you turn on what's called your timer. It's this little timer looking thing next to scale. I'm going to do scale because I'm doing a zoom. We'll talk about, we can do it with all of them. I'm going to turn on my timer for scale, and it's going to automatically create a little notch where my playhead was. Okay. And when you're on that notch, you'll see this middle, you see that you have two arrows and a circle in the middle. The circle in the middle will be blue. When you're not on the notch, it'll be white. And then you can jump to your notches by using the arrows. Okay, so while you're on the notch, okay, adjust your scale to how you want it to look at the beginning. So I want it to be super zoomed out. Then move your playhead. I want it to be at the end. Okay. And create a notch. You create a notch by a keyframe, a notch, whatever you want to call it, by clicking either, you could click on the blue in the middle, that'll create a keyframe. Another way to do it is to simply adjust and it'll automatically create it for you. So I zoomed in. So what this is telling the computer is from this keyframe to this keyframe, I want you to go from 38 to 66. 38 zoomed out, 66 zoomed in, and it's going to gradually, if you watch this number over here, it's going to gradually make the number higher, 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 so that it zooms in. If you want to change anything about the placement of your notches, or let's say you don't want it to be that zoomed in, so you can jump to your notch and you can simply make it 60 instead. You can also move your notches. Let's say you want it to happen really, really fast in the middle. So you can move them. Now watch the difference, right? It goes very fast and then it just stops. So, and you can jump from notch to notch with your arrows. Just like that. That is keyframes. If at any point you want to totally delete all your keyframes, you can just select them and hit delete on your keyboard. You can also turn off your timer and it's going to say, this action will delete existing keyframes. Do you want to continue? And then you can hit OK and it'll delete everything. Not only can you do keyframes for scale, you can also do keyframes for position. So let me scale it in a little bit. Okay. And let's say I wanted to go up over the course of time. So I'm going to start it down low. I'm going to turn on my timer. I'm going to move ahead. And I'm going to go up high. Okay. And then I want it to be from the beginning to the end. So I'm going to move my notches to either end. And then if I watch it through, it's going to go up. You can even do 2 sets at the same time. Maybe I wanted to zoom in at the same time. So turn on my timer. And let's zoom it in. And move it to the end. And now it's going to go up and zoom in at the exact same time. That is how you use keyframes. Play around with it. That's the best. You can also do it for rotation. Don't touch anchor point and anti-flicker filter, okay? Definitely not anchor point. We can explain what that is at a different point, but don't touch your anchor point. You can definitely do it with rotation as well. Rotation is obviously turning it from, rotating it. And play around with it using your timers, using keyframes. Again, you want to make sure you are selected on the image and your playhead's hovering over it, because I'll tell you what the problem is. Let's say I had 2 pictures. Okay, I'm just going to copy the same picture. I'm not going to bring in a second picture. Let's say I had 2 pictures here, back to back. Okay. And I'm selected on this one. My playhead's hovering over this one over here. Meanwhile, I'm selected on this one. And I'm like, oh, let's zoom in. Wait, why is nothing happening? I'm so confused. Oh, because my playhead's over here. And sometimes it can get, all of a sudden, you move your playhead and you're like, oh, it was zooming in. I just wasn't in the right spot. And then it can get complicated to make changes. Basically, you can't really make changes if you can't see what change you're making. So you have to make sure A, you're selected, and B, your playhead's hovering over it. And that is how you use keyframes.